So for this first exercise here, we are going to do wet on dry. And I'm going to have some water loaded up onto this brush here, and I'm going to dip it into this dry paint here and load it up and make that puddle. So we need more paint on that one. And I'm using the flat brush, and I am just going to set it down and spread it out in like shape. And that is wet on dry. Clean off the brush. Might even clean it off on a paper towel a bit here. Push into the edges there. Just like get cleaned off.
Now let's do wet on wet.
So I'm setting down a wet surface first. Bottle of some more paint. And while this is still wet here, I am going to make some cool effects and see how it feathers out here. Look at little sea anemones. And I can always add more water and let it spread out on its own. Let's try again, setting down another wet on wet surface and just blend it wet on wet. Look at that fuzzy little stuff there. You can try to make it as even as possible while working wet on wet. The water, there's less control over it, so it just kind of goes wherever it wants then. So that was wet on wet. Now, let's go ahead and try dry on dry. Just gotta clean up the brush and get most of the water off of there. And I'm gonna dip into this drier part of the paint here. And we are going to see all the dry strokes you can get. Sometimes you need just a little more water, but it's relatively dry, just enough so you can paint. So you get some cool textures you can work with. Now we are going to try, use a smaller brush here, splat. We're going to try a graded wash, so we're going to work from dark to light. So I start setting the color up there, the lighter color, and I'm going to add some more water to it and dilute it and just pull it down a little bit and keep adding and cleaning off that brush and then just blending it, and it gets a little lighter each time. The more you clean it, the more you pull down with a little bit that's above until sometimes you have to help it along a bit until it is quite light. So that's from dark to light. It's not like the smoothest gradient, so let's try setting down a wet layer first and see how that works. That's interesting. Kind of liking how that looks. It's not exactly the gradient I was going for, but I like how it looks. I'm gonna see, it kind of has a mind of its own a little bit here. It's on a downward slope, so it'll just kind of do its thing. I'm going to do something that's called lifting. I'm going to, while it's still wet, lift up some colors so I have some white spots left. There we go. And that's called lifting. Let us try a two-toned gradient. Wet on dry. Now this table has a bit of a downward slope to it. Just right so I can. So that's a two-tone. Now we're going to try it wet on wet. So let's make a wet surface. We're going to start a little bit of this. Just kind of before everything all dries, just kind of blend it in. All right, and we're going to let that dry as well. So this is pretty much all dried here. And one other way you can mix another color and make a different color, if I want to make some purple on this, I can layer it make another wash on top. And now I have more purple color that will dry.